The alarm bells rang through the salvage ship Resilient Dawn. Commander Sarah Chun pushed herself up from her captain's chair and looked at the screens in front of her. Her crew of 12 humans had been working in the empty space near Kepler 442. For 3 weeks now. They were looking for old ships and metal scraps to sell. It was not exciting work, but it paid the bills. "What do we have, Marcus?" Sarah asked her sensor operator. Marcus was a thin man with gray hair who had been working salvage for 20 years. His hands moved quickly over his control panel. "Big one, Captain," Marcus said. His voice was excited. "About 2,000 kilometers out. The computer says it's a Zephyrian ship. Military class by the look of it." Sarah felt her heart beat faster. The Zephyrians were the most advanced alien race that humans knew about. Their ships used technology that was hundreds of years ahead of human science. Finding a Zephyrian ship could make them all rich, but it could also get them killed. "Is it active?" Sarah asked. She moved to look over Marcus's shoulder at his screen. The ship showed up as a long silver shape with flowing curves. It looked like a work of art instead of a war machine. "No power readings," Marcus said. "No life support signals either. Looks completely dead." Sarah's engineer, Tom Rodriguez, looked up from his station. "Captain, if that ship has intact Zephyrian tech on it, we could retire tomorrow. Just one of their power cores is worth more than we make in 5 years. Sarah knew Tom was right. But she also knew the risks. The Zephyrian Empire did not like other races touching their technology. They had destroyed human ships before for less. Still, they were already here. And the ship appeared to be abandoned. "Jenny, scan for other ships in the area," Sarah ordered her pilot. Jenny Walsh was the youngest member of the crew at 25. She had quick hands and could fly their ship through an asteroid field blindfolded. "Scanning now," Jenny said. After a few minutes, she shook her head. "Nothing, Captain. We're alone out here." Sarah made her decision. "All right, people. We're going to take a look. But we go in careful and we go in ready. Tom, get the cutting tools ready. Marcus, keep scanning for any sign of power or life. Jenny, take us in slow." The Resilient Dawn moved toward the alien ship. As they got closer, Sarah could see that something was wrong. The Zephyrian ship had burned marks along its hull. Parts of it looked melted. This was not just an abandoned ship. This was a ship that had been in a fight. "Captain," Marcus said. His voice was quiet now. "I'm picking up something. Very faint. Could be a distress beacon. From where?" "Inside the ship. Deep inside." Sarah felt cold. If there was a distress beacon, it meant someone might still be alive in there. The Zephyrians were not friends to humans, but they were not exactly enemies either. They mostly ignored human space unless humans bothered them first. "Any life signs?" Sarah asked. Marcus worked at his controls for several minutes. "Maybe. There's something in what looks like the medical bay. Very weak. Could be a person in some kind of sleep chamber." Sarah looked around at her crew. They all knew what this meant. If they found a living Zephyrian, everything changed. They could not just strip the ship for parts. They would have to decide what to do with whoever they found. "Options?" Sarah asked. "We could leave," Tom said. "Pretend we never saw it." "We could take a quick look," Jenny added. "If someone's alive, we call for help. Or we could board it and see what we find." Marcus finished. Sarah thought about it. The smart thing would be to leave. But Sarah had never been one to do the smart thing when someone might need help. She had joined salvage work after losing her family in a mining accident. The company that owned the mine had left her parents and brother to die when the tunnels collapsed. They said it was too dangerous to send in rescue teams. Sarah had never forgotten that feeling of being abandoned. "We board it," Sarah decided. "Full environmental suits. We go in, check for survivors, and decide what to do from there." The crew spent an hour getting ready. They put on their heavy spacesuits and checked their air supplies. Tom brought his cutting tools and medical kit. Marcus brought scanners and communication equipment. Jenny stayed on the Resilient Dawn to keep their ship ready for a quick escape. If needed, they used their ship's docking tube to connect to an airlock on the Zephyrian vessel. The alien ship's airlock was bigger than theirs and made from some kind of blue metal that seemed to glow slightly. It took Tom 10 minutes to figure out how to open it. Inside, the ship was dark and cold. Their helmet lights showed corridors with smooth walls covered in strange symbols. The air was thin but breathable. Emergency lighting flickered on and off as they moved deeper into the ship. "This way," Marcus said. Following his scanner toward the medical bay, they found her in a chamber that looked like a crystal coffin. She was tall and thin with blue-gray skin and long white hair. Her clothes were torn, and she had burn marks on her arms. The chamber was barely working. Red lights blinked warnings that none of them could read. "She's alive," Tom said, checking his medical scanner. "But barely. This machine is keeping her in some kind of deep sleep, but it's failing." Sarah looked down at the alien woman. She had a face that looked almost human, but with sharper features. Even unconscious, she looked proud and strong. "We have to get her out of there," Sarah said. The alien woman woke up screaming. Sarah and Tom rushed into the medical bay of the Resilient Dawn as alarms went off. The Zephyrian woman was sitting up on the examination table, her eyes wide with fear. She was speaking in her own language. Words that sounded like music but filled with pain. "Easy, easy," Sarah said, holding up her hands. "You're safe. We found you." The woman looked at Sarah with large, silver eyes. She was beautiful in a strange way, with blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer and long white hair that moved like water. But Sarah could see fear and sadness in those silver eyes. Deep sadness that went beyond just being afraid. "Do you understand?" "Me?" Sarah asked slowly. The woman tilted her head and said something in her musical language. Then she tried to stand up but fell back down. Tom moved forward to help her, but she pulled away from him. "She's weak," Tom said to Sarah. "Whatever that machine was doing to keep her alive, she's been in it for a long time." "Maybe months," Sarah nodded. She pulled up a chair and sat down where the woman could see her clearly. "My name is Sarah," she said, pointing to herself. "Sarah." The woman watched her for a long moment. Then she pointed to herself and said something that sounded like Kethvara. "Kethvara," Sarah repeated. The woman nodded over the next few days. Kethvara slowly got stronger. She learned basic English words quickly. Sarah was surprised at how fast she picked up their language. Kethvara would point at things, and Sarah would tell her the human word. Soon she could say simple things like water and thank you and where am I. But Kethvara would not talk about herself or her ship. Whenever Sarah asked questions about where she came from, the alien woman would become quiet and sad. Sometimes, Sarah caught her staring out the window at the stars with tears in her silver eyes. On the fourth day, Marcus came to Sarah with news. "Captain, I've been studying that Zephyrian ship. The damage wasn't from a battle, it was from the inside. Someone destroyed the ship's weapons and engines from the inside. Sabotage?" Sarah asked. "Looks like it, and there's something else. I found records in the ship's computer. Most of it is in Zephyrian language, but the ship's name translates to Silent Justice. It was some kind of military engineering vessel." Sarah thought about this. Why would someone destroy their own ship? And why was Kethvara the only one on it? That evening, Sarah brought Kethvara some dinner. The alien woman was sitting by the window, looking out at the stars. She had gotten much better at speaking English in just a few days. "Kethvara," Sarah said, "can you tell me what happened to you?" Kethvara was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "My people, they threw me away." "What do you mean?" Kethvara's voice was very quiet. I was engineer. I made weapons for Zephyrian military, good weapons. Weapons that could destroy cities. From space, Sarah sat down next to her. What happened? They gave me orders, HFY said. Make new weapon. Weapon to kill civilians on colony worlds. Not soldiers, civilians, children. Her voice broke on the last word. Sarah felt cold. And you said no? I said no. I could not make weapon to kill children, so I destroyed research. I warned colony worlds. I helped people escape. HFY looked at Sarah with her silver eyes. I saved 3 worlds, millions of people. That sounds like the right thing to do, Sarah said. HFY laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Zephyrian High Command did not think so. They said I was traitor. They took away my name, my citizenship, my family. In Zephyrian culture, when someone loses their citizenship, they become nothing. Worse than dead, Sarah was starting to understand. They put you on that ship alone. Yes, they put me in sleep chamber and launched ship into empty space. No navigation, no communication, no way home. They wanted me to drift forever, to be forgotten. HFY touched her chest where Sarah could see faint scars. They even removed my biomarks. The marks that prove I am Zephyrian. Now I am nothing. Sarah felt anger building in her chest. You're not nothing. You saved millions of people. My people do not see it that way. To them I am dead. Worse than dead. I am forgotten. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, What will you do now? HFY shrugged. I do not know. I cannot go home. Other Zephyrian worlds will not take me without biomarks. Maybe you can drop me at space station somewhere. I will find work. What kind of work? I am good engineer. I can fix ships, design systems. Maybe someone will hire me even though I am exile. Sarah made a decision. What if you stayed here? With us? HFY looked surprised. Why would you want exile on your ship? Because you did the right thing, Sarah said. You chose to save innocent people instead of following orders. That takes courage, and we could use a good engineer. Your crew would not want alien on ship, Sarah smiled. Let me ask them. The next morning, Sarah called the crew together. She told them HFY's story. When she finished, the room was quiet. Finally, Tom spoke up. So she gave up everything to save people she didn't even know. Yes, Sarah said. Marcus nodded slowly. That's the kind of person I want watching my back. Jenny grinned. Plus, she probably knows more about ship engineering than all of us put together. One by one, each crew member voted. It was unanimous. HFY could stay. When Sarah told her the news, HFY started crying. But this time, they were not. Tears of sadness. I do not understand, she said. Why do you help me? I am nothing to you. Sarah put her hand on HFY's shoulder. You're not nothing. You're family now. 3 months passed on the resilient Dawn. HFY had become part of the crew in ways that surprised everyone. She fixed their engines so well that they ran quieter than they had in years. She improved their scanners so they could find salvage from twice as far away. She even learned to cook human food, though her version of pasta was bright blue and tasted like flowers. Sarah watched HFY change from a broken, scared exile into someone who smiled and laughed with the crew. The alien woman still had nightmares sometimes. Sarah would hear her crying out in her sleep in the Zephyrian language. But during the day, HFY was becoming more human than some humans Sarah knew. Sarah, HFY said one morning. They were sitting in the ship's small kitchen drinking coffee. HFY had learned to love coffee, though she put strange spices in it that made it taste like cinnamon and starlight. What happened to your family? Sarah was surprised by the question. HFY rarely asked personal things. Why do you ask? You help me when you do not have to. You treat exile like family. This is not normal behavior, Something made you this way. Sarah smiled sadly. You're right. I lost my family in a mining accident 5 years ago. My parents and my younger brother worked in the deep mines on Titan Colony. What happened? The mining company knew the tunnels were dangerous. The support beams were old and cracking. But they kept sending workers down anyway because stopping would cost money. Sarah stared into her coffee. One day, the whole section collapsed. 37 people were trapped. Kefvara leaned forward. Did rescue teams go in? The company said it was too dangerous. They said the tunnels might collapse. More if they tried to dig people out. So they left them there. Sarah's voice got hard. They left my family to die to save money. I am sorry, Kefvara said quietly. When I found you in that ship, alone and abandoned, I thought about my family. I thought about how it feels when the people who should protect you just throw you away instead. Kefvara reached across the table and touched Sarah's hand. Her skin was cool and smooth. We are both orphans then. Both forgotten by those who should have cared. Maybe that's why we understand each other, Sarah said. Their quiet moment was broken by alarms. Marcus's voice came over the ship's communication. System, Captain to the bridge, we have a problem. Sarah and Kefvara ran to the bridge. Marcus was staring at his screens with worry on his face. 3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace. Zephyrian patrol vessels. They're scanning the area. Sarah felt her blood turn cold. Are they looking for us? Unknown. But they're moving. In a search pattern. Like they're looking for something specific. Kefvara moved to the sensor station and looked at the readings. Her face went pale. Those are Hunter-class ships. They are used to track down criminals and exiles. Are they looking for you? Sarah asked. Maybe, or maybe they detected Zephyrian technology on your ship. Kefvara had been using parts from her old ship to improve the resilient Dawn systems. Either way, if they find me here, it will be very bad for all of you. Jenny looked up from her pilot controls. How bad? Zephyrians do not like other species having their technology. They might destroy your ship to keep their secrets safe. And if they find me... Double quotes. Kefvara's voice trailed off. What happens if they find you? Tom asked. They will take me back for trial, but trial is just ceremony. They will execute me for treason. And they will probably execute all of you for helping exile. Sarah felt anger rise in her chest. Like hell they will. Sarah, you cannot fight Zephyrian military ships with salvage vessel, Kefvara said. Maybe not in a straight fight. But we don't have to fight them if they can't find us. Sarah turned to Jenny. Can we hide in the asteroid field? For a while, Jenny said. But those ships have better sensors than us. They'll find us eventually. Marcus was watching his screens. They're getting closer. One of them is heading right. For us, Sarah made a decision. Kefvara, go to your quarters and stay there. If they board us, we'll say we never found you. That will not work, Kefvara said. They can scan for Zephyrian biosigns from their ships. And they will find technology from my vessel in your engine room. Then what do you suggest? Kefvara was quiet for a moment. I suggest I take escape pod and lead them away from you. Absolutely. Not, Sarah said immediately. It is only logical choice. I am the one they want. If I am gone, you are safe. No, we don't abandon family. Sarah's voice was firm. We'll find another way. The communication system buzzed. A voice spoke in the musical Zephyrian language. Kefvara listened and then translated. They are demanding to board us for inspection. Can we run? Sarah asked Jenny. Not from those ships. They're 3 times faster than us. Marcus looked up from his station. They're powering up weapons. Sarah looked around at her crew. These people had become her family after she lost her real one. Now they were all in danger because she had chosen to help an exile. But looking at their faces, she saw no regret. Tom was checking his sidearm. Marcus was trying to think of ways to jam the alien sensors. Jenny was plotting escape routes that probably would not work, but might buy them time. Options? Sarah asked. We surrender, Tom said. Let them board us and hope they believe we're just salvagers. We fight, Marcus said. Go down swinging. We run and hope we get lucky, Jenny added. Sarah looked at Kethvara. What do you think? I think, Kethvara said slowly, that I have spent my whole life following orders and doing what others expected. Maybe it is time I made my own choice. The Zephyrian ships were getting closer. Soon they would be close enough to detect Kethvara's biosignature. Sarah had to decide what to do. All right, people, Sarah said. Let's show these aliens what humans do when someone threatens our family. The Zephyrian ships surrounded the resilient Dawn. Sarah could see them on the main screen, sleek and deadly like silver sharks in space. The lead ship sent another message, this time in broken English. Human vessel, prepare for boarding. Submit to inspection or be destroyed. Sarah looked at her crew. They were all watching her, waiting for orders. Kethvara stood beside her, calm but ready. Sarah, Kethvara said quietly, I need to tell you something. The research I destroyed on my ship, I remember all of it. Every formula, every design. It is all still in my head. What kind of research? Sarah asked. Weapons that could destroy entire star systems. Technology to control gravity itself. Things that could wipe out civilizations. Kethvara's voice was steady. If the Zephyrian Empire gets this knowledge back, they will use it to conquer every world they can find, including Earth. Sarah felt cold. Why? Didn't you tell us this before? Because I hoped they would never find me. But now they have. And they will do anything to get the knowledge back, including torturing it out of me. The communication system crackled again. Human vessel, you have 30 seconds to respond. Sarah's mind raced. They couldn't fight 3 military ships. They couldn't run fast enough to escape. But maybe they didn't have to do either. Kethvara, Sarah said. What if we made sure they never got that knowledge? What do you mean? You said you remember everything. What if we recorded it all? Every formula, every design. And what if we sent that information to every government in the galaxy? Kethvara, us. Eyes went wide. If everyone had the same weapons, no one would have advantage. Exactly. The Zephyrian Empire stays powerful because only they have this technology. But if everyone has it, they can't threaten anyone anymore. Tom looked up from his weapon controls. That's crazy enough to work. But how do we get the information out? Those ships will jam our communications. Marcus was studying his sensor readings. There's a communication relay station 3 light minutes from here. If we could get a message burst to that station, it would automatically forward the data to the galactic network. We would need to get close to the relay, Jenny said. And we would need time to transmit all that data. How much time? Sarah asked. Kethvara was thinking. To record everything I know and transmit it? Maybe 20 minutes, 20 minutes, Sarah repeated. We need to keep 3 military ships busy for 20 minutes. Captain, Marcus said urgently, they're charging weapons. 10 seconds until they fire. Sarah grabbed the communication control. Zephyrian ships, this is Captain Sarah Chun of the human vessel Resilient Dawn. We are prepared to surrender. The weapon charges stopped. A new voice came over the radio, speaking perfect English. Captain Chun, this is Commander Vex Thiel of the Zephyrian ship Righteous Fury. You will lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. Understood, Sarah said. Then she switched to internal communications. Jenny, plot a course for the relay. Station, Marcus, prepare a data burst transmitter. Tom, get ready to buy us some time. Kethvara, start recording everything you remember. Sarah, Kethvara said. If we do this, there is no going back. The Zephyrian Empire will hunt us forever. They're already hunting us, Sarah replied. At least this way, we make sure the hunt is worth something. The first Zephyrian ship docked with the resilient Dawn. Sarah could hear the airlock opening. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors as armed Zephyrian soldiers boarded their ship. Commander. Vexthil entered the bridge. He was tall even, for a Zephyrian with dark blue skin and silver armor. His eyes were cold when he looked at the human crew. Where is the exile? He demanded. What exile? Sarah asked innocently. Vexthil pulled out a scanning device. Do not lie to me, human. We detected Zephyrian biosignatures on this vessel. He looked at the scanner and frowned. The signature is faint, as if the person is hiding or shielded. Somehow, behind him, Sarah could see Kethvara working frantically at a computer terminal. She was recording everything she knew, pouring decades of advanced research into the ship's memory banks. Check the cargo holds, Vexthil ordered his soldiers. Actually, Tom said, standing up slowly, I think there's something you should know about that exile. Vexthil turned to him. Speak. She's not just any exile. She's the engineer who destroyed the Omega Project research, and she remembers everything. Vexthil's eyes went wide. Impossible. The research was completely destroyed. Not completely, Tom said. She has it all in her head. Every formula, every design. Your government wants her back alive because she's the only one who can recreate the weapons. Sarah saw what Tom was doing. He was making Kethvara seem more valuable, buying them time. Where is she? Vexthil demanded. Hiding, Tom said. She knows what you'll do to her, but maybe we can make a deal. Humans do not make deals with the Zephyrian Empire. Maybe not usually, Sarah said, joining the conversation. But this isn't usual. You want the research. We want to live. Maybe we can work something out. Marcus's voice came quietly over Sarah's earpiece. 15 minutes of data transmitted. 5 minutes to go. Vexthil was getting impatient. Enough games. Find the exile, or I will destroy this ship. You destroy this ship, you lose the research forever, Sarah said. I think you are bluffing. At that moment, alarms started going off on the Zephyrian commander's equipment. One of his soldiers spoke rapidly in the Zephyrian language. Vexthil's face changed. You are transmitting data. Stop it now. Too late, Sarah said. Stop the transmission, or I will kill all of you. Kethvara stepped out from behind the computer terminal. The transmission is complete, Commander. Every formula, every design, every secret of the Omega Project. It has been sent to every government in the galaxy. Vexthil stared at her in horror. You have doomed us all. No, Kethvara said calmly. I have saved us all. Now no one can use these weapons to threaten innocent people. The commander raised his weapon. But before he could fire, Jenny activated the ship's emergency systems. Blast doors slammed shut, separating the Zephyrians from the rest of the crew. Everyone to the escape pods, Sarah ordered Dot as they ran. Sarah heard Vexthil screaming orders. To his ships. The resilient Dawn shook as the Zephyrian vessels opened fire, but it was too late. The information was already spreading across the galaxy. 6 months later, Sarah stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, watching ships from dozens of different worlds dock at the massive space station. The station floated in neutral space, built as a meeting place for all the species of the galaxy. Today was special. Today, representatives from every known civilization had come to vote on something that would change everything. Sarah, Kethvara said, walking up beside her. The alien woman looked different now. She wore simple human clothes and had learned to smile more often. But her silver eyes still held sadness sometimes, especially when she thought about her home. World, how are you feeling? Sarah asked. Nervous, Kethvara admitted. What if they decide the wrong thing? They won't, Sarah said. What you did was right. Everyone knows it now. The data they had transmitted 6 months ago had changed the galaxy. Every government now had access to the same advanced weapon technology that the Zephyrian Empire had used to threaten others. But more importantly, the information included proof of war crimes, evidence of civilian bombings, destroyed colonies, and genocide that the Empire had tried to hide. "Captain Chun," a voice said behind them. They turned to see Ambassador Williams, the human representative to the Galactic Council. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes. "They're ready for you." Sarah and Kef Vera followed the ambassador through the station's corridors. They passed beings from dozens of worlds. Tall, thin Altarians with their bird-like features. Short, stocky vegan miners with rock-like skin. Even a few Andromedans with their crystal bodies that seemed to glow from within. "The vote is close," Ambassador Williams said as they walked. "The Zephyrian Empire still has allies. They're claiming that sharing military technology will lead to chaos and war. What do you think will happen?" Sarah asked. "I think most species are tired of being bullied," the ambassador replied. "Your friend here gave them hope that they could stand up to the Empire." They entered the council chamber, a huge round room with seats for representatives from every known world. In the center was a speaking platform where leaders could address the assembly. Sarah and Kethvara were shown to special seats reserved for witnesses. The council leader, a tall being with purple skin from the Centauri system, called for order. "We are here to vote on Resolution 847, the Galactic Defense Accord. This resolution would create a shared military alliance among all member worlds, using technology provided by the witness Kethvara, formerly of the Zephyrian Empire." A murmur went through the chamber. Sarah could see the Zephyrian delegation sitting in their section, looking angry and defeated. Commander Vex Thale was among them, his face dark with rage. The Centauri leader continued. "Before we vote, the witness may speak." Kethvara stood up slowly. Sarah could see her hands shaking, but her voice was steady when she spoke. "Honored representatives, 6 months ago I was in exile. My own people threw me away because I would not help them build weapons to kill children. They left me to die in space because I chose to save innocent lives instead of following orders." The chamber was completely quiet now. Even the Zephyrian delegates were listening. "Today I stand before you not as a Zephyrian, not as an exile, but as someone who believes that no government should have the power to destroy worlds. The technology I have shared was meant to protect Zephyrian space. Instead, my government planned to use it to conquer yours." An Alteran delegate stood up. "How do we know you speak the truth? How do we know this is not some human trick?" Kethvara looked at the delegate calmly. "Because I have nothing left to gain from lying. I have no home, no people, no future except what I build with my own hands. I share this knowledge not for reward, but because it is right." A vegan representative called out, "The Zephyrian government says you are a traitor and a criminal." "Yes," Kethvara said simply. "I am a traitor to evil. I am a criminal against injustice. And I am proud of both." Commander Vexthil stood up from the Zephyrian section. "This exile speaks lies. She was cast out for stealing military secrets and selling them to enemies of the state." Kethvara turned to face him. "I stole nothing that was not already stolen from the galaxy by your empire. I sold nothing that was not already bought with the blood of innocence. And the only enemies of your state are justice and peace. You have doomed us all," Vexthil said. "When every world has these weapons, there will be constant war." "Maybe," Kethvara replied. "Or maybe when everyone has the same weapons, no one will dare use them. But at least now, you cannot threaten to destroy entire worlds unless they bow to your empire." The Centauri leader called for order. "The witness has spoken. We will now vote." The voting took 3 hours. One by one, each delegation cast their vote. The small worlds voted yes quickly, eager for protection from larger empires. Some of the bigger powers hesitated, worried about losing their advantages. But in the end, the fear of Zephyrian domination won out. Resolution 847 passes, the council leader announced. The Galactic Defense Accord is approved. Cheers erupted from most of the chamber. The Zephyrian delegation stormed out, but Sarah noticed that a few Zephyrian representatives stayed behind. Maybe not all of them agreed with their governments. Actions. After the vote, Ambassador Williams took Sarah and Kefvara to a quiet restaurant in the station. "So what will you do now?" she asked. "Go back to salvage work, I guess," Sarah said. "Though I suspect we're going to have a hard time finding jobs. Not many people want to hire the crew that started a galactic revolution." "Actually," the ambassador said with a smile, "I might have a job for you. The new Defense Accord is going to need ships and crews to patrol space and help smaller worlds protect themselves." "Interested?" Sarah looked at Kefvara, who nodded. "What would we be doing?" "Helping worlds that can't protect themselves. Stopping bullies. Making sure everyone gets a fair chance." The ambassador paused. "It's dangerous work, and it doesn't pay much, but it's important." "Sounds perfect," Sarah said. 3 days later, Sarah and her crew were back on the Resilient Dawn, heading toward their first mission under the new accord. Kefvara was in the engineering section, making more improvements to their systems. "Kefvara," Sarah called on the communication system. "Come to the bridge. There's something I want to show you." When Kefvara arrived, Sarah handed her a data pad. "It's official," Sarah said. "Earth Colonial Authority has granted you full human citizenship. You're one of us now." Kefvara stared at the document. "I do not understand. Why would they do this?" "Because that's what humans do," Tom said from his station. "We don't care where you come from or who your people are. If you're willing to fight for what's right, your family." Kefvara was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "If I am to be human, I should have human name. What do you want to be called?" Sarah asked. Kefvara thought about it. "Kira," she said finally. "Kira Chen, if that is acceptable." Sarah smiled. "Welcome to the family, Kira Chen." As the ship jumped into hyperspace toward their first mission, Sarah thought about how much had changed. 6 months ago, she had been a simple salvage captain. Now she was part of something bigger. Something that mattered. She looked at Kira, who was studying star charts and humming a human song she had learned. The woman who had been forgotten by her own people had found a new people who would never forget her. Sometimes, Sarah thought, the best families are the ones you choose.